Hey guys, this video is going to go over the rest of lesson 5.4, and then I'm going to review quickly kind of for your quiz tomorrow. Please have your math book and your calculator out. Reminder, you do have a quiz tomorrow, so please pay attention during this video. And if you have questions, please let me know. Email me, I can help you, but please ask questions. All right, if you can open your math book up to page 289, that would be awesome. And we are going to try this problem. Now you can work this out on the entire page, so wherever you have some space. All right, so Aisha is researching 3 different online book companies. The cost Y, I'm just going to kind of highlight that. So the cost of Y of every subscription is a linear function of the number of books downloaded, X. So X stands for how many books she downloads. Y is the cost. It says the prices for 3 different companies are shown. Aisha plans to download 10 books and wants to spend the least amount possible. So she wants to obviously get the cheapest company for downloading 10 books. Which company should she choose, and how do you know? All right, so we have 3 different companies you guys should be able to see. I have the bookshelf. Kind of gives me my equation. I have We Reads, I have a table, and I have Bookworm. So this is kind of putting everything together from the chapter. This will be a good practice for your test tomorrow. All right, so let's start with the bookshelf. Let's see what we know about it. Okay, we know the initial value is 20, so that means there was probably a fee of $20. Okay, the 4.5 times X, well, X is the number of books she downloads, and if it's the cost, that means this would be $4.50 per book. Okay, plus must have been a fee. Okay, so I kind of know that equation already. All right, let's go to the table. Let's see if we can write the equation for the table. All right, now, nice thing for the table is it kind of gives us the initial cost. That means for 0 books, costs are $18, so that means there was a fee of $18. Now let's find the rate of change. Okay, so the rate of change is I can take 2 Y values, I can subtract them. I'm just going to come over to the side here. And I'll just take, it doesn't matter what 2 you choose. I'm going to do, we haven't done this in a while. Well, I'll just do these 2. So I'm going to do 2375 minus 18. Those are my Y's. And then 1 minus 0, which I know is 1. All right, so if you have your calculator, you can do 2375. Take away $18, which is $5.75 over 1. Okay, so that means every time it's going up $5.75. So it's $5.75 per book. So there's my equation. Plus that $18 fee. Okay, so I have that equation. So far I have 2. The bookshelves equation, and now I have this one down here. Now let's go to the graph. Okay, so sorry about that. So the graph, first thing you guys should notice is it gives you 2 points. Let's start by writing those coordinates, what they are. So I see that this first point is 2, 15. I like to write that down. And then this one looks to be 4, 30. All right, the first thing I should do is let's try to find the rate of change. So let's subtract our Y's. I'm going to do 30 minus 15, and then 4 minus 2. So 30 minus 15 is 15. 4 minus 2 is 2. I can use my calculator. 15 split in half is 750. So that means it looks like it's 750 per book. Okay, so I have 750X. Now, to find my initial value, it looks like it might be 0, but I'm just going to kind of see a couple different ways. So one way I could think is, hey, look at my slope. It looks like it's up 1, 2, 3 over 2. Well, if I go backwards, 1, 2, 3, back 2, it does end at 0. So that's one way I could get it. My second way is I could write my equation, y equals 750x plus b, and I could pick in a point to plug in. So I could take the 2 and the 15, that's the x and y value. Okay, and I could work that out. We've done this a ton of times, so this should be kind of familiar. I get 15 equals 15 plus b. When I times that out, I subtract 15 from both sides. I end up with b equals 0. So no matter how I did it, that's what I got. So it looks like Bookworm doesn't have any fee. So they just charge $7.50 per book. All right, lastly, my final question is I want to know which company is she going to spend the least amount of money at. So I want you guys to pause the video, and I want you to find out how much she spends at each company. All right, if I do the bookshelf, I would do 450 times 10 books plus 20, which is 45 plus 20, which ends up being $65. Okay, so that's at the bookshelf. Here, if I do 575 times 10 books plus 18, I get 5750 plus 18. So you guys probably needed a calculator for that one. So 5750 plus 18 looks like 7550. So that one was kind of a lot. So already that one's not the least. And finally, 750 times 10 plus 0, which is just straight $75. Okay, so it looks like the bookshelf, she would pay the least amount if she is only getting 10 subscriptions. All right, let's go to page 291 and try this problem. Again, you will see this on your quiz tomorrow. So it says, Gennaro is considering 2 job offers as a part-time salesperson. Company A will pay him $12.50 for every item he sells, plus a base salary of $500 at the end of the month. So he'll get that $500, plus he'll get that $12.50 for every item he sells. Okay, let's look at Company B. Company B will pay him at the end of the month. That's shown in the table. Right away, as soon as they tell me that, I like to come over, and if there's a table or graph, I like to write that. I'm going to say, okay, right away, that's Company B. They're on the table. And then I also like to write down, well, what do I know? Okay, so I know Company A. I'm going to start with that. I know that they're going to pay him $12.50 every item. So that would be $12.50 per item. So I'll put the X by that. Plus that base salary of $500. Okay, so let's see what the question actually says. It says compare the functions, compare the functions' initial values and their rates of change. And then how much more would Gennaro make at Company A if he sells 28 items? All right, so hopefully you guys are already kind of thinking in your head like, hey, all right, I got Company A. I need Company B's equation. So that means I need to find the rate of change and initial value. Okay, I want you to think for a second, how would you do that? Push pause, you try it for a second before you actually watch me do it. All right, so for Company B, you're going to want to take 2 Y values and subtract them. So I'm going to do 500 minus 425, subtracting my Y's, and then 10 minus 5. I end up with 5 on the bottom, and then I think 75. If I subtract there, and then if I do 75 divided by 5, I end up with 15. So it looks like he's earning $15 per item sold. So I know it's going to be Y equals 15X plus something. Okay, I don't know that number right now, so I'm just going to kind of leave that blank. All right, to find that number, we've been doing this. We're going to write our equation, Y equals 15X plus B. Now remember, you can choose any X and Y value you want. So come in the table and choose one. Okay, maybe I'll choose 10 and 500. You could do any one you want. Now 10 is the X value. You guys can see that right there. So instead of an X, I'm going to plug in a 10 right here. And then 500 is the Y value. So I'll put a 500 right where the Y is. And then I keep my 15 plus B. Okay, now I'm going to work this out. I still have 500 here. 15 times 10 is 150 plus B. Finally, to get that B by itself, I need to subtract 150. I end up with B equals, you guys would just need to do 500, take away 150. Okay, if you do that, you end up with 350. So it looks like the initial amount, her base salary is 350. All right, so now we've got 3 questions that I'm going to have you pause and try to answer. All right, I just wrote the 3 questions in blue, so pause the video and try those 3. All right, the higher rate of change, let's start with that. I'm going to write in green. So my rate of change is right here, my slope or my unit rate. It looks like Company B has the higher rate. Okay, they are $15 per item. The other one's only $12.50 per item. The higher initial value, well, that would be the higher y-intercept. This one, he had a base salary of 500. This one, 350. So it looks like Company A would have the higher initial value, and then how much for 28 items. So lastly, you're going to need to come up to the equation and do like 1250 times 28 items plus the 500. And then over here, you're going to have to do 15 times the 28 items plus the 350 and see what you get. All right, I worked both of those out, and I got 850 here, and I got 770 here. So now, lastly, I would just want to subtract them. Okay, and if I do that, it looks like I end up with, so if I do 850 minus 770 to see how much more, it looks like $80 more, all right, at company A. All right, last thing I want to show you is a problem like this. I'm not going to work all the way through it, but I just want to kind of show you one because we haven't had one with a negative slope yet. So if you take a look at this one, you guys might notice the line is going down here. So I just want to show you what happens. So this is dealing with like somebody's distance away from a store. So this guy, Jace here, he starts 2.7 miles away from the store. And as time goes by, he's getting closer and closer and closer and closer to the store. So that's kind of what that line is showing. All right, so if I wanted to write the equation for his line, I just want to kind of set you up for this one just to show you what it looks like. I'm going to take two y values. Now I have to go in order. If I start here with this y, I'm going to do 1.8 minus 0.9. Okay, do you guys see how I did the two y's? Now, since I started with the 1.8, I need to start with the 5 when I subtract my x's. I'll do 5 minus 10. Okay, so if I do 1.8 minus 0.9, I end up with 0.9. And then 5 minus 10 is negative 5. That's going to give you a negative there. Now, if you divide that out, you end up with negative 0.18 when I divide that out. Okay, all that means is it's got a negative slope. He's like, the distance is getting less as he travels. So my equation would be y equals negative 0.18x plus b. Now, if I wanted to find the y-intercept or this initial value, it looks like 2.7, but to test it out, I'll just pick a point. I'll use this one, 10 and 0.9. So I'll put a 0.9 here. I'll put a 10 where the x is, plus b, and then negative 0.18. Okay, now if I was going to solve this, again, I just want to check it. If I multiply this first thing out, I get negative 1.8 plus b equals 0.9. I'll add 1.8 to both sides, add 1.8, and b equals 2.7. So I did solve this correctly. My final equation for that graph is negative 0.18x plus 2.7. That means he started 2.7 miles away from the store, and he's traveling 0.18, it looks like, miles per minute, because he's getting closer and closer to the store, so that's why it's negative. So I'm not going to solve the rest of the problem, but I just wanted to show you that. All right, so now you are going to review for your quiz by doing a class kick. You should know if you're getting answers right or wrong as you do your class kick. Here's what you'll be able to need to tell me tomorrow on the test. Is it a function, yes or no? So if I give you a table, if I give you a graph, is it a function? Can you fill in a function table? Can you find me an initial value and rate of change? Can you compare them? And can you compare functions? And can you write an equation? Okay, can you get those equations like we just did in the video here? So go ahead and try the class kick. If you have questions, you can put your hands up or ask your substitute teacher. And I will try to be answering questions too. So if you have one, put your hand up and write down your question.